We're back to the Total Tutor Show, powered by the Insightful Players series. You can go to insightfulplayer.com to find out information on Insightful Player. Again, they teamed up with the NFL, providing great role models to talk about how they have transformed people's lives in so many ways, and their passion is kids, helping kids. So you can go to insightfulplayer.com and purchase the book and learn more about Chrissy Carew, Coach Carew, one of the most amazing people I've met, and what she's doing with Insightful Players is fantastic. And they also have programs at schools, and I want to talk to Jared about how we can get some of those programs, especially at our flagship station in Pittsburgh. When I want to welcome to the program my co-host, Jared. Jared, how are you, man? And I know you're really excited about another Insightful Player.
Absolutely, as always. I cannot wait to really hear what our guest has to say about the life, what they're doing with their lives, and how they are going to inspire not only me in this show, but also our listening audience.
Exactly. The inspiration's fantastic. So I want to welcome the program, Insightful Player, former NFL player, played for the Carolina Panthers and the Miami Dolphins, Reggie Howard. Reggie, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Always excited to talk to people about their experiences and their careers. And Reggie, I think that our stories kind of have some same qualities, and we'll bring that up in the story. But I guess usually we've talked to our other NFL players in our two segments. We go right into, growing up, things like that. But Reggie, your story really starts, if we're like saying we're writing a story about you on this show, about your senior year. You're a great football player. You're playing at the University of Memphis, and your whole life changes after one play, doesn't it?
Yeah, as you talked about playing in the fourth or fifth game of my senior season. Actually, I just had a great meeting with my head coach, and he was talking to me about ESPN article they wanted to do about, walk-on players that actually became big contributors to the team. And he had actually told me I had just broken into the top 10 corners in the country, and that I was looking at being, no lower than a third-round pick in the draft. And, went into that game. We actually were up, and he sent the defense out one more time in the fourth quarter just to go ahead and finish out the series. And while making a tackle on the play, I actually broke my neck in that game. And I didn't realize that I did it. When it happened, I think one of my teammates called me in the back of the head while I was going backwards on the tackle. And it was a crack, probably one of the loudest noises I ever heard in my life. Instantly heard the crack, and I didn't realize what I had done. All I remember was getting off the field and having this burning sensation in my back.
Wow.
And my pads and my helmet felt so heavy. And when they took me back for x-rays, that's when they discovered that I had actually broken my neck at the 56th vertebra. They put me on a stretcher and actually flew me out, on a Learjet that night, straight to the hospital and straight to the emergency room. So, definitely, experience I'll never forget. Happened in Birmingham, Alabama, University of Memphis versus UAB. Had that surgery, and a lot of people say that, from a medical standpoint, the area around my neck was twice the size of a normal person, so that was kind of the medical reason that they gave me, why I never experienced any paralysis or anything of that such. But, I am a person of faith, and I just believe that it just wasn't meant for me to go down their way. And I remember flying back on the jet, and I was in so much pain because, I had torn muscle ligaments and everything from that standpoint. And I just remember just praying to say, if you give me another shot at this, I promise that I'd do, more than just play football. I'll use this as a platform to do something bigger and greater. And it's just amazing that, when I got done, and actually when I got to the Carolina Panthers, I basically had to come in as a free agent. Was just basically walking on to the team, was able to play there. Within my third year, was starting for the Carolina Panthers. And then went out to Miami and finally had got a lucrative contract. And it just got to a point where I was really like, man, is this it? Is this what all I've been fighting for, to make this type of money? And, I don't know who I can trust. I don't really understand what I'm doing, every day of my life. And so I start to, really start to question about, why am I here? What is my purpose in life? And that's when I spoke to one of my accountability partners, and he just told me, man, just to pray about it. And when I did, I just knew that, something that I always loved doing and something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life was to be a giver. And from there, I actually played one more year with the Carolina Panthers, and it just was time for me to walk away and to move on, with the next chapter of my life. And much to the dismay of my agent and a bunch of people, which thought I had probably about 4 or 5 more years, left of my playing career, I walked away, right away and began to do nonprofit services in my city of Memphis. And then from there, I was able to grow an organization called United Athletes Foundation out of Atlanta, where within our 5th year now, we're doing some really amazing things and, really excited about, what our organization is trying to accomplish.
Wow, Jarrett, amazing story. Quickly, Reggie, we have a ton of questions, so we'll kind of take you back in certain ways because I want to know more of the story. But amazing to think about, Jarrett, being in a situation, especially now when we're seeing the head injuries in the NFL and all these things, what happened to him and how his life, he really saw that he had another purpose in his life through that injury, Jarrett.
And even, more significant here is, let's not forget Reggie was 20, 21 years of age when this is happening. There are probably no 21-year-old adults out there that have to face those very same challenges that Reggie was facing, and to overcome those, and then to go from what would have been a short draft pick in the top 3 rounds to go to be a free agent. Reggie, was there any resentment that you had towards that? Here you were, devoting your life to this game, and you were a sure thing, and now suddenly because of that injury, you're approaching this game as you use the term a walk-on.
Yeah, it was definitely different, and I think the main thing that really motivated me was the fact that I felt like I had lost out on money that was owed to me. And so for me, that became kind of my, my fuel. That's what drove me, to work harder, to get back what I lost and things of that standpoint. And so when I did and got a very good contract out of Miami, I felt like I had did all that work, and what was it for? For money, and it was such an empty feeling, to be quite honest with you. It's like I fought for something that I thought was going to really make such a big difference in my life, and I found out that it wasn't. And that's when it really started to get to me that it's not about that. It's not about the money. It's not about those things. It's about having your life and living for a purpose and serving others. And so when that light went off, that's what I did. So whether I make $100, $200, $1 million, it doesn't matter. I do this because of the purpose.
Wow.
Right. Neil, I know you have another question for Reggie, but I just want to jump.
Sure.
I want to jump in here because this is such a familiar theme with the insightful players. But, Neil, the start of our radio show, it was, we talked about if our children get everything they want, what's next? And here we're seeing this theme with Reggie. He got everything he wanted, yet there was an empty feeling there. The what's next was a huge question to have to answer.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's so important. Now, jumping back in things so our listeners out there understand, Reggie, you were a pretty good NFL football player. You weren't, so it wasn't like, okay, once you went through your rehab, got back on the field, got drafted, you weren't like a bench warmer. You were participating and did pretty well in the NFL, right? So it's kind of a strange story to quit the NFL when you and resign and retire early when you really had a career ahead of you, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of people, really wanted me to continue. But like I said, man, people just wanted me to continue to play. And like I said, my agent and quite other people felt that I had at least 4 to 5 more years left to play. But it just was time, my body started to let me know. I started to develop some arthritis in my knee, and I was basically taking painkillers and anti-inflammatories just to practice. And it was like, I'm not going to play this game and continue to deteriorate my body when I was given another opportunity to even play. To even play 7 years in the NFL after breaking your neck was a lesson in itself. So for me, I had promised my family that whenever my body started to let me know I wasn't going to push it and try to, get as many years as I could out of my body, when the time was right, it was time to go. And, quite honestly, a lot of people ask me all the time, do I miss it? And quite frankly, I really don't. What I do with UAS And what we do as far as helping and servicing, other professional athletes, it really gives me what I missed out of the game, which was the camaraderie, of the player and peer-to-peer conversations and interactions. So I still get that, class on a daily basis. So I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of guys miss. And of course, the financial side of it, but the peer-to-peer and the camaraderie, if you talk to most players, that's the thing that they miss the most, once they leave the game.
Wow, Jarrett. I mean, like I said, this is a different story in a way because he truly saw his purpose before his career was over. A lot of these guys started to think about it and then after football, but this guy really had a head and shoulders, and where he's going now, that's exactly where he wants to be. And we talked about passion, Reggie, with our guest we had earlier today, and kind of name dropping Michael Lohan, Lindsey's father. And what we learned from Lindsey's father was ultimately that he chose, and this is amazing, he had a lucrative business on the stock market, making tons of money, but helping people in recovery gives him passion. So, Jarrett, it's a lot of times we have to tell our listeners out there, the fame, the money doesn't matter unless you're truly paying it forward, right, Jarrett?
Absolutely, and we're hearing that from Reggie right now, and Neil doesn't mind. I actually, the question that I have for Reggie, right now is, when did you know this, Reggie? When did you feel this? Was it as a teenager? Was it in college? Was it, as you were approaching the NFL? What guided you to knowing your purpose so early in life?
Well, like I said, I think it came down to two main things, man. It really came down to that point where I broke my neck, because quite honestly, I saw it as a blessing in disguise. A lot of people thought, it was a negative thing, but I thought it was a positive thing for me because, everything was coming at me so fast. From my junior year to my senior year, it was almost like instantly, everybody was coming at me, from agents to, new people want to be my friends because they were finding out, this guy can play, he's going to go to the NFL, he's going to make all this money. A lot of that stuff comes, with that, with the success that you have on the field. And when I broke my neck, it was almost as if it cleared a vision for me where I could finally see who was really with me. Yes. So when I went into the NFL, it wasn't as if I went in there with a bunch of people around me, that was just hanging on my career. It was more of I went in with people that really cared about me, that were there for me, that had no idea if I was still going to be able to play football anymore. So I saw that as an advantage, because that is a problem that a lot of guys I feel have, is that, to play this game, you have to have a sense of invincibility. And a lot of times when you have a sense of invincibility on the field, a lot of guys have trouble turning off the field. I had an opportunity to turn it off the field to see how people really treated me if I wasn't this football player. Yeah. And so to have that, when I went in, I could kind of, my thought process was always different. I never thought about trying to play 10, 12, 15 years. I was just happy to play one more year because I had saw how fast it could be stripped from me. So when it got to the point where I knew it was time for me to move on, that was just the fact that I had finally got to a goal where I felt like this is what I had been fighting for, was to get the money. And then when I got the money, it was like, man, this is what I've been fighting for. It was just so empty, man. Yes. And so for me, it just got to a point that it wasn't about the money. That's going to come and go, but it's about the purpose and impacting lives and helping people and, doing the things that you don't get publicized for or recognized for. It's just doing those little things that help somebody and showing them, how they can succeed and giving them hope and inspiring them. So, that's what motivates me. When I get up every morning, it's all about just creating a legacy of giving and a legacy of givers. And so that's what, our organization and what we did with UAF was all about.
Well, Reggie, and when we get back, we're going to go more into specifically, I guess, you've told the story, and I really want to go into the philanthropic part of you, because truly, your career would be interesting to talk about as well, especially, getting to play in a Super Bowl and all these different things. But I guess some days you have to think about, Reggie, did I make the right choice? And I want for people, the listeners out there to know, when you truly have your passion, people said to me, I walked away from professional wrestling early. I was still only 27 years old, and I got to travel all over the world. And I had a shot still at the WWF. And they thought of me as the most passionate person in the world in wrestling that, this guy's never quitting. And I walked away cold turkey very quickly. So when we get back, we're going to learn more from Reggie Howard. You're listening to the Total Tutor Show, powered by the Insightful Players series on the Simply G Media Network, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Total Tutor Show on the Simply G Media Network, powered by the Insightful Players series. You can go to insightfulplayer.com to learn all the cool things, all the players that are Insightful Players, and Coach Carew, who is doing a tremendous life's work. And I mean, she saw our vision, Jarrett, completely, and she's helping us with our dream. We wanted to bring athletes, entertainers, everyone on this platform to truly talk about what they're passionate about. Not about what they truly did and that how they want to pay it forward. And, Jarrett, we've heard just such tremendous stories from other guests, and Reggie's just like that, isn't he?
Well, and, again, we've talked about the common themes, and the common themes that really affect every one of us, that go beyond the superstar athlete, that go beyond the talents that we have been blessed with, and the things that every one of us can do. And, Reggie highlighted that with as he spoke, saying, being givers and, giving back. And all of us can do that. We don't need to have 4.4 speed. We don't need to jump 40 inches.
Yes.
Now, we can all do that.
We all have a gift. We all have a talent, and we just have to find that talent. Once we find that talent. So, Reggie, when you decided to retire from the NFL, you had a plan in place, didn't you? Or did you have an idea that you were going to start a foundation at that point?
Yeah, prior to leaving the NFL, I had started my nonprofit maybe about 2 years before that. So I had already had it in place. It was just more of me being more active with it, rather than just, making a contribution. It just came, and one of my advisors would always tell me that, it's not going to be as great as it can be unless your spirit and your passion is behind it. And so, for me, that was my next move, was that, I knew I loved football, and I knew I had this passion for giving. And so for me, it was going to either be, doing something in the field with with the foundation, or, coaching, because those were my two passions. And it's just so funny that you talk about how you were able to go back and start doing some of the things that you thought you walked away from. It's the same story here, because even though I started the foundation opened up so many doors, for me in our organization. But at the same time, I'm currently, volunteer coaching at HBCU, so I'm still doing the other things that I always wanted to do, but it's all led and all spearheaded, by the work of the foundation.
And Reggie, and especially being on this platform, God guided us to where we are today. I mean, God didn't want me in professional wrestling anymore, as God didn't want you in the NFL. He knew that you could do far more where you were going, and we followed his lead. And we didn't know where we were going to go, and we never thought, well, we'll get back involved in the sport, or we'll get back in entertainment, as I am as a radio host. So, Jarrett, that's the theme is we need to follow where we think God's leading us. If we don't have someone leading us, it's a lot of times, Jarrett, we think, it's got to be me figuring out where I go. No, ultimately, you got to, and as Reggie was saying, you got to follow God's lead, right, Jarrett?
Yeah, you know what, and that makes sense. I was going to say the only thing I was going to add to that, and that's one of the things that I have said before, is that you got to let go of the wheel, man. You got to stop trying to drive.
Exactly.
Jump in the back seat, man. Jump in the back seat and enjoy the ride. So, I mean, that's spot on, Neil. That's really spot on.
What were you going to say, Jarrett? Respond to that one.
I was simply going to add that, we saw that when Reggie explained early in his life that when he was faced with true adversity, he took time to pray. And he took time to contemplate and ask for direction. And we saw that, for a young man at his age, faced with tremendous, life-threatening, and he took the time to pray.
That's so great. And Reggie, I remember, and I'm sorry, kind of coming back to me, but I think that, like I said, our stories really are the same in certain ways. I was in Bremen, Germany in 1999, and I was lonely. They're only for a 10-day tour, but it's in a foreign country. And I was walking around and saying, what do I do next? I just hit the pinnacle next to the WWF. I am overseas, but I'm about to get married. Am I going to just do a bunch of these tours, or am I going to give it up altogether and do something else? And God spoke to me at that point. Just like with your injury in Memphis, you saw that, and then it had to kind of develop, but you let God guide you and lead you.
And one of the other things that I highlight on that, too, is the fact that I had a spiritual accountability partner. So when times got tough, I reached out to him about it. And that was his recommendation, man. Pray about it. Stop trying to figure it out on your own, And so, just ask him, let him guide you. And so, I want to give him credit for that because he did. At a time that it was very dark for me, he gave me some light, and showed me, who to go and get the light from. And that was through prayer and asking God for his vision.
Well, fantastic. And I just love to hear when athletes, especially men, speak about God. It's and especially in a way that, again, we as a society are afraid to talk about it. We think it's wrong. It's not the way we need to talk about specifically. Well, then we're emptying ourselves. Well, that's what we're supposed to do, is empty ourselves. So with the foundation, what are some of the key messaging and the whole general purpose of your foundation?
Yeah, our foundation is the simplest way I try to explain to people is think of us as kind of like a United Way of professional athlete nonprofits. So our whole thing is we want to use the whole team concept in the world of philanthropy, and that's working with different athletes, different entertainers, just different people in different spaces in their philanthropic work. So whether they care about kidney disease awareness or education or life skills management or financial literacy, whatever their passion is, our organization wants to help them, put them in the best situation where they can be most effective and efficient by partnering and helping assisting them with consulting on their nonprofits so that they're in proper standings and in a place where, they can have sustainability and create that legacy that they're looking for. So the overall vision of the organization was always about the unification of professional athletes and entertainers. Now, for a mission, we just want to give those guys the tools and resources so they can be the leaders that they want to be independently in their specific areas of focus. The other two areas from an initiative for UAF is that we've really heavily focused on special in the area of financial literacy and educating and bringing awareness in that space. But then most recently, we've started to get into the whole community development space, and that's helping with a holistic approach in communities by bringing affordable housing, life skills management, job skills creation, small business development, and also life skills management as well. So for us, it's financial literacy. So for us, it's all about giving a holistic approach to how we come in and impact the community, from the ground up. And so for us, those are the three areas where it's us servicing and helping our athlete membership base, with their nonprofits and their missions. But then two areas that we wanted to focus on with UAF as well, actually financial literacy, look at community development from a holistic approach of providing affordable housing, life skills management, job skills, and small business development, and also educating on financial literacy. Because if you give somebody a home, you still need to be able to get the other things around it so to be successful and keep it at home and create that legacy that they're looking for. So, those are the areas that our organization care about, with the lead being the servicing of our athletes.
Excellent. Jarrett, so I know you have a follow-up question to this.
I do, and what Reggie has spoken about is really quite amazing. He's spoken, with so many athletes who have such a personal connection to their foundations or the work that they're doing, whether it's diabetes awareness or the strengthening the family or community relations. But what I'm hearing from Reggie, I think, is that his work is to take the passion of these athletes and guide them to being successful. Is that what I'm hearing, Reggie?
Yeah, and God, assist, help, whatever we can do to be a resource for him. Yeah, I mean, a great example on the work with the NFL legend Jim Brown. With Jim Brown being around with his organization, which is the overcame program, which is a life skills curriculum for troubled youth that has helped turn kids away from gang banging, away from gang activity, away from the prison system. And also been implemented into school systems as far as helping with improving truancy and also improving GPA and conduct behavior. This guy has something that he really didn't need, help from. I mean, he has a 25-year history of this thing being very successful and very productive on the national and local level. So when we sat down with a Jim Brown, who definitely doesn't need us, to solve, the vision and the whole thing of us coming together and us being stronger as a unit. So when he talked to us, he was like, well, man, I've never partnered with another organization, but I'm willing to partner with UAF because I see what you guys are trying to accomplish. This is the same thing that we tried to accomplish back in the day with Muhammad Ali, and those guys being community activists. You guys are the young generation that I feel comfortable passing the torch down to. And so when he met with me and Ray, that's what he came to us was that, hey, you can help me by helping me get more people involved in my organization from the younger generation, and getting this organization, getting this program in new cities and finding new funding partners. And then what I'll do is I'll lend my name to you, and whatever you need me to do as far as your vision in financial literacy or community development or helping other athletes, my network is now your network. So that's how this whole thing works. It's just using the whole team concept in the world of philanthropy and strengthening each other by bringing everybody together so that when Jim needs help with his thing, we help him. When Ray needs help with his thing, we help him. Whenever our membership need help, we all come together and support them and bring, the power of the group rather than the power of an individual to every cause. So that's the true vision behind it.
Well, absolutely, and I completely am impressed. I'm going to have to help you out, Reggie, in certain aspects. I know that you're doing a fantastic thing in your organization, but there's so many other philanthropic celebrities, athletes, entertainers that need that help. They have this vision, yet they don't know what to do next, where to take it, how to make sure it really pays it forward. And a lot of times it's because they don't have the time. A lot of times it's because of specific things. So, Jarrett, we're definitely going to be there to connect them with people because we see these athletes, and some of them have an idea, yet they fall short, right, Jarrett? They kind of do.
Right. The direction isn't necessarily there. The passion is there, but the direction not as much as it needs to be.
Okay, so
well, if you think about it, when I first came on, the first thing we talked about was, what was it that you wanted to do, Reggie? When it was being a giver and showing others how to give. That's what UAF is, man. That's all it is. It's just being a giver itself as an organization and helping showing others how to do the same thing. How do you build your nonprofit where it becomes a legacy? How do you build your nonprofit where it has sustainability? How do you build a nonprofit where it's not about events and putting on these shows, but actually having programs and actually having statistical data to show how you're making an impact in that community?
Wow, Reggie. Where can we find information on you, learn more about you, so that even our entertainers listening, our athletes and entertainers listening to this program can get help to help their foundation out, and ways that we can just follow you and see all the cool things you're doing, Reggie?
They can go to our website. It's www.unitedathletesfoundation.com. And then they can also follow us on Twitter at United Athletes. And then we're actually going to be adding some new information on our website and making it more user-friendly and more information from that standpoint. But, man, we're really excited about the organization and the growth that we've had. And we're really looking forward to 2014, where we're going to be making some major announcements about some of the work that we're going to be doing in the community.
Well, we're going to definitely stay in touch, Reggie. We're definitely going to look and see how we can help each other out, because I do have a lot of contacts, and there's a lot of people that you represent now that are not in the NFL game, because we know we got that covered, that would want publicity, want the opportunity to have a platform like my show to talk about their true story. So we'll definitely see how we can help each other out to keep growing each other's it's life's work to help others and to provide that great information. So I appreciate you calling, Reggie.
I appreciate you, Neil, and I thank you guys for having me on call. And just know, man, we're looking for people that want to work with the organization and all about we and not me. You know, we want team players. We're not really, interested in working with people that are trying to get individual success. That's not our motto. Our motto is all about the team and all about we.
Fantastic, Reggie. Good talking to you. And Jared, another awesome, insightful player. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Reggie, thank you for just sharing so much of your life and the passion that you have for giving back to society.
All right. Thanks, Jared. I appreciate you having me on, man.
All right. Take care, Reggie. All right. See ya. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right. You're listening to Total Tutor Show, powered by the Insightful Players series on the Simply G Media Network, and we'll be back in just a moment.